Awesome. Okay, hello everyone, and welcome to the third session of day one of the 2025 North American Virtual Reference Conference. I'm Sarah Pate, coordinator of ASQUA, which is a statewide virtual reference cooperative here in Washington State, and I'll be your moderator for this session. Attendees, your video and audio have been turned off for the session. If you have a question for the presenters, please use the Q&A section, and we'll do a combined Q&A after both of our lightning talks. This session will be recorded and made available at the navronline.org website in the next month or so. And for the first lightning talk, Lavender Duke will talk to us about AI in the Homework Club and the Writing Center. So Lavender, take it away.
Great. Hello, everyone. Welcome. Thank you so much for joining this lightning talk. It's so perfect to have this conversation just on the heels of what Sarah was talking about. And let's get started right away. So the learning outcome here is to show you a little bit about how to use different kinds of AIs. Under the assumption, like Sarah was sharing, we have the green light for AI use in these assignments, and that you would walk away from this lightning talk seeing a little bit more about how to use it, what it looks like, how to cite it, different kinds of conversations here. So the issue that inspired this lightning talk was, as a substitute teacher for a while in K through 12, I kept seeing that these students of all ages, and then as a university student and now as a research librarian, they were coming to librarians, teachers, and tutors to do their homework for them. And then when this failed, students would then go to ChatGPT or another AI program to do their homework for them instead. And I wanted to recognize in this process the heart behind this good inertia, whereas that students are interested in completing the assignment, they're going to the library for help, they're engaging with technology. This is good inertia that I wanted to continue forward. So an answer to this issue that I was seeing was to help students engage AI as a starting point or a beginning reference with the green light already given by the professors in the institution here. And something to keep in mind as well as I show these different ways of using AI programs is that AI is new, as we've been talking about today. We're all learning together. The perception of AI may change over time, and that's something to embrace and to take in stride. It is always a good practice of sourcing the AI in use, whatever system of sourcing is used in the project, recommending to use that. I know APA has a way of sourcing ChatGPT, like Sarah was sharing earlier. And of course, there's the question of, is this an assignment that AI could be used in? Should it be used in? Is it better for the student to do the legwork of what I'm going to show you the AI can get us started today? These are questions of the day, and the answer will vary depending upon the assignment, so on and so forth. So I'm going to show you 5 different AIs today, and I chose these AIs based on students were mentioning them and talking about them, and they're ones that I haven't really seen in the academic landscape. So these 5 ones are where we will start. Midjourney is this really interesting image generator, and it is behind a paywall. So talking about how to access AI, the idea here is a creative writing student is looking for a reference piece to start their story. They are welcome in the writing club in the homework center. Understandably, they have this green light. They can peruse this list and collection of AI generated images on the Midjourney's website, which includes this fantastical image of a woman in a swamp. And they can go, oh, you know what? I want to write a story about a female protagonist over here. And they are able to cite this image in their sources, in their reference points of the creative writing piece. And it's a great engaging point for the use of AI. Here's another example of an image generated by Midjourney, just to show you the variance of what can be found any given day on their website. DALL-E is another image generator that is built into ChatGPT. The idea here is a high school economics student is saying, I'd like to have an image in the background of my presentation when I'm talking to the class about the idea of laissez-faire. They go to DALL-E. I left how I needed to refine my prompt, so you can see sometimes there is this back and forth of, it's not enough to just ask an AI generator to create an image. You do have to give them a little bit more specifics. Interesting enough, Dolly also gave me some specifics here. And this is the image. And now the student has the opportunity to engage with AI as a starting point in this project and say, and communicate with the class, is this an accurate understanding of laissez-faire? Is this something that is actually happening in our day in life today? What does it look like? How can we critically think about this is the way Dolly perceives laissez-faire? And then what does it look like going forward? Continuing on, ChatGPT is probably the most well-known AI system out there. The idea here is a middle school student comes to the writing center, the library, and says, I'm looking for a list of the most popular Greek myths, and I'd like some sources. They ask ChatGPT this, and ChatGPT delivered and provided quite the list of sources that the middle school student is able to pick from, then go to the librarian and communicate about. Keep in mind that the sources presented by ChatGPT may or may not be found in a middle school library, and I'll talk about that a little bit later. There's quite a few sources provided by ChatGPT. Another way to use ChatGPT is to citation check. So the student is able in the writing center process to drop their citations into ChatGPT, and ChatGPT can point out, maybe you should recheck this title, recheck how the publisher is described, recheck the access date. Now, there is the conversation that AI isn't entirely accurate, and this is a great opportunity to engage deeper in. So they can start with the AI, they can start with ChatGPT here, and then go to the librarian or Al Purdue or these other great authoritarian resources that talk more in depth about what a citation should look like, and check themselves against that authoritative source. And again, this is using AI as a starting point, understanding that it won't take the student as far as they may need to go, but it is a good starting point. There are I left this so you can peruse it later. So Gemini is another ChatGPT-esque generative text generator from Google. And the idea here is a university student needs to write a persuasive essay on what is the best impressionist painting. So they ask they ask Gemini for this list here. And then the student is able to choose, I'd like to write about Women with Parasol by Claude Monet. The student can then go to the library and ask the librarian, can you help me find some resources that talk in an academic manner about Women with a Parasol by Claude Monet or Claude Monet's art, and moving on and moving forward there. This is, again, using AI as a starting point and an entry level to go deeper into the library and deeper into a conversation with the librarian. Another way to use Gemini is to ask for a homework checklist. This is a really helpful opportunity for the student to sit down with the teacher and go, can you help me more understand this project? Is there anything on this checklist I should pay close attention to? Is there anything I could remove from this checklist? And it's a conversation point for the student and the teacher about this project. And the student can walk away from this experience going, oh, now I know when I do this kind of project, I need to pay close attention to the research and planning, and maybe I don't need to entirely build this slide presentation because it's not part of this project, even if Gemini mentioned it was in this process. All right, so like Sarah mentioned, there is this very interesting AI connected to Google Notebook LM. This AI is a really interesting AI in the sense that it is closed loop. So whatever is uploaded to this AI is what this learning machine is pulling from when creating the podcast on the topic. So this can be a very helpful resource for students who are maybe more oral listeners who are looking at the textbook and have read it 10 times and are trying more deeply to understand it. Or in the way I think is probably best to use Notebook LM because it has accuracy issues and because there's a lot of fluff in what the podcast is to use it as a checking method of another way of listening to something while also checking it against the student's understanding of the subject. So this is what it looks like. Screen Owl is the document which has this essay from this book in the public domain that I found on birds. Very helpfully, Notebook LM provides a little synopsis about the essay that I uploaded. Granted, this is also a really helpful spot for the student to go deeper and to look through the synopsis and go, is it accurate? Is it not? And then Notebook LM creates this really interesting podcast. So I'm going to play this for about a minute so you can hear it to show you what kind of AI this sounds like. And keep in mind, this is AI voices. It takes a few seconds to load. So give me a thumbs up if you can hear it.
All right, let's go full nocturnal today.
You could hear it at the beginning, but I don't hear it now. I think when you mute, it goes off for all of us.
Kind of, but one thing that
Can
hasn't
you hear it
changed
again?
is their skill as hunters.
Yes.
Book talks about how
Okay,
they're
sorry
not
about
just
that.
after mice,
Oh, yeah.
they snatch beetles from treetops and even go after wood rats.
Wait, hold up.
Yeah.
Beetles from the treetops. How do they even see those?
That's the amazing part. Their eyesight is incredible. They're like these tiny feathered ninjas silently swooping down and grabbing those beetles mid-flight.
That is so cool. It's like they have night vision goggles or something.
Basically. And the book really emphasizes how silent they are.
So it's not just about being quick, it's about being totally stealthy.
Exactly. Their feathers are specially adapted.
All right, so you can see how, especially looking at this page, the slide here, I highlighted different parts where it was directly connected to what one of the voices quoted. I believe it was muted, so you didn't hear it, but in the beginning, they talked about the Night Wanderer as this title for the Screech Owl. And they were discussing the owl swooping down and eating mice, beetles, and vermin. They did call it a silent ninja, which I don't believe is in this essay here, though it is an interesting starting point in conversation for what it looks like to compare and contrast with the use of AI during the studying process in the homework club. So the most important thing to take away from this is even using AI as a starting point, as a beginning point, librarians are still needed. As things currently stand, AI has a short scope and librarians have a much larger scope. And the easiest way to look at this is ChatGPT providing a middle school student with a source of Ovid's Metamorphosis. It is rather likely that a middle school won't stock that same source. However, a librarian has the ability and the scope to say, oh, okay, student, you're looking for this kind of source. Actually, there's this source, Donna Lares' Book of Greek Myths, that would actually serve you much better in this process. And then as we've also been sharing throughout this whole morning, there is a great large collection of concerns about privacy, copyright, intellectual property. The reason I used a book in the public domain when working with Notebook LM is because there's this deep concern of where does it go when I upload my class notes, or where does it go if I upload my professor's entire slide deck? What does that look like? And I think something to keep in mind in this conversation is the definition of copyright, generally speaking, is the expression of an idea is potentially copyrightable, but the idea itself is not. So one could argue that the idea of a watermelon in the shape of a question mark is not copyrightable, but this image created by ChatGPT is arguably under copyright by ChatGPT, because if I had created this image, it would look different, and things would be very separate from that matter. And this is why citing is important. So thank you so much for joining this lightning talk. Please keep your questions until after the next lightning session, and I hope you all have a wonderful day. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Lavender. Really appreciate that. And yes, folks, please put your questions in the Q&A as they arise, and we'll get to them after our next presentation. And so for our second lightning talk today, Susan Archambault and Jose Rincon of Loyola Marymount University will talk to us about evaluating AI research tools, a comprehensive assessment framework for libraries. Welcome, Susan and Jose.
Thank you. Are you able to see our slides there, Susan?
Yes.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us. We're excited to be here with you today. Let's get right into it. Artificial intelligence is rapidly transforming the way academic research is conducted, from streamlining tedious tasks to uncovering new insights. AI is becoming an integral part of the research process. For example, AI-powered tools are now being used for text analysis, automating literature reviews, extracting key data from vast sources, and even making predictive analysis that can help scholars anticipate trends in their fields. These capabilities are not just enhancing efficiency, but also expanding the possibilities of academic inquiry. At the center of this shift, you find us librarians who are playing a critical role in guiding researchers through this evolving landscape. We help scholars discover, evaluate, and implement AI tools effectively, ensuring that these technologies are used to support rigorous, high-quality research. And of course, with great technological advancement comes the need for oversight. As trusted curators of information, librarians must ensure that AI tools align with scholarly standards and ethical considerations. This means critically assessing algorithmic biases, verifying the accuracy of AI-generated content, and advocating for transparency in AI-driven research practices. Ultimately, AI is not replacing human expertise in academia, it's augmenting it. And librarians, as stewards of knowledge, are essential in ensuring that these tools are used responsibly and effectively. As artificial intelligence continues to evolve, an increasing number of AI tools are becoming available to support academic research. While these tools offer exciting possibilities, they also raise important questions. How do we determine which ones are reliable? How do we assess their accuracy and biases? And how can we ensure that they align with ethical research practices? This session is designed to address these concerns. To help navigate this rapidly changing landscape, we'll introduce a structured approach that empowers librarians to critically evaluate AI tools. Our framework will guide you in how to react, a methodology for assessing AI's role in research, and tap into AI tools with confidence. We'll demonstrate this process through a close look at Consensus, an AI tool designed for literature review extraction, examining its strengths and limitations. Finally, we recognize that with great technological advancement comes the responsibility to ensure ethical use. That's why we will also introduce our TAP guidelines for AI ethics, a structured approach that provides clear principles for evaluating and using AI tools responsibly in academic settings. These guidelines will help ensure that AI serves as a complement to scholarly work rather than a shortcut that comprises research integrity. By the end of this session, our goal is for you to feel more equipped to critically assess AI tools, make informed decisions, and confidently guide your research communities in using these technologies effectively and ethically. Today, I'm excited to introduce our REACT framework, designed to help us evaluate and assess generative AI tools. This framework consists of 5 key criteria: relevance, ease of use, assessing diversity, equity, inclusion, and accessibility, accuracy, and transparency and accuracy. Additionally, it incorporates 4 distinct performance levels, utilizing a rating scale from 1 to 4, where 1 represents the lowest score and 4 the highest. Each of these 5 criteria is evaluated within its specific context, but all adhere to the same 1 to 4 performance scale. Now, let's delve into the details and performance levels for the first criterion, relevancy. So relevancy, a score of 1. Poor relevancy with a high proportion of unrelated results. Number 2, hit or miss relevancy requiring manual filtering of results. Number 3, mostly relevant results with occasional off-topic suggestions. Number 4, highly relevant results consistently matching the research topic. Moving on to ease of use, a score of 1, complex and challenging to navigate, even for experienced researchers. Number 2, demands technical or research expertise to utilize effectively. Number 3, requires some familiarity with AI concepts or research concepts. And number 4, intuitive interface with minimal learning curve. Moving on to assessing DEIA, a score of 1, low commitment to diversity, equity, inclusion, and accessibility due to the factors such as lack of accessibility features for researchers with disabilities, highly biased results with minimal diversity in authors and perspectives, availability in only 1 language, requirement of a paid subscription or institutional access for the tool and its full text context. Number 2, moderate commitment. Number 3, high commitment. And number 4, exceptional commitment. Incurrency, a score of 1, rarely updated, potentially relying on outdated information. Number 2, sporadic updates with a risk of missing recent developments. Number 3, regular updates, staying relatively current with new findings. Number 4, real-time updates, always reflecting the latest research. And last here, transparency and accuracy, a score of 1. No transparency and low accuracy, leaving users uncertain about the AI's reliability and decision-making with frequent errors or misinterpretations in the generated content. Number 2, limited transparency. Number 3, moderate transparency. And number 4, high transparency and accuracy. AI is transforming the way we approach literature reviews, making it easier to find, analyze, and organize research. Today, I'll highlight 3 AI tools designed for this purpose: Elicit, Cite, and Consensus, each with unique features to enhance the research process. Elicit is a powerful AI research assistant that pulls from the Semantic Scholar database and uses unpaid WAL to access academic papers, including open access PDFs. What sets Elicit apart is its ability to filter papers using over 30 predefined columns, such as summary, methodology, and limitations, allowing researchers to quickly find relevant studies. This structured approach streamlines literature reviews and even allows users to export results for further analysis. Next, Cite is redefining how we interpret citations. Traditional citation counts only show how often a paper is cited, but Cite Smart Citations take it a step further by classifying citations as supporting, contrasting, or simply mentioning a study. With a database of over 880 million classified citations, Cite helps researchers assess the credibility and impact of a paper in a more nuanced way. Finally, we have Consensus, which introduces an innovative feature called the Consensus Meter. This tool analyzes multiple research papers to determine whether scientific literature mostly agrees, disagrees, or is mixed on a given topic. To dive deeper into how consensus works and how it applies to literature reviews, I'll now hand it over to Susan, who will walk us through this tool in more detail.
Let me quickly highlight the resources that power the AI tool Consensus. At its foundation is the Semantic Scholar database. housing over 200 million papers across all scientific domains and leveraging data from PubMed, Crossref, ORCID, and other sources. Consensus combines keyword and vector search technology with custom fine-tuned language models to determine relevance. The relevance ranking considers multiple factors, including citation count, citation velocity, study design, and publication date. For summarization and analysis, Consensus integrates OpenAI's GPT-4 technology, enabling concise summaries and offering unique insights through their Consensus Meter feature. Key features that enhance the research workflow include advanced search capabilities with AI-powered filters and research quality indicators to surface credible, relevant content. For example, the rigorous journal label or the highly cited label. The study snapshot feature displays up to 7 categories of information like population, sample size, location, and methodology directly on the results page. For reference management, Consensus provides auto citations that integrate with Zotero, Mendeley, and EndNote. Search results can be exported to CSV format, including 11 paper-level detail columns, including key takeaway, number of citations, and study type. There are also list and bookmark features for saving papers and searches. The consensus meter specifically works with yes/no questions, classifying results as yes, no, possibly, or mixed to help gauge scientific consensus. Through pro analysis, researchers can extract information from papers and then synthesize it to provide summaries, with each piece of information numerically linked to its source paper. Consensus is also helpful for trend analysis or fact-checking. And there is a new Ask Paper feature in beta that allows you to chat with a research paper if it's available in full text. Let's explore Consensus and navigate to its search page. When I click the arrow on the bottom left, I get my search history. I can click the filter button and then apply these filters to my search. So we have publication date, exclude preprints, open access, ask a paper, minimum citations, methods, journals, domains or subject areas, and country. I initiated my search by entering in the question, is there evidence of wage discrimination in the US? Let's click the search button to run the results. So the consensus meter will answer the question, is there evidence of wage discrimination in the US? It gives us the consensus meter based on the top search results. So you can see the majority of the papers, 85%, say yes. Then it summarizes the results from the top papers in brief paragraphs and shows us the numbered citations where it got each piece of information. If we click results, we get a list of the top papers with detailed information, such as whether it is a randomized controlled trial, if it is highly cited, and the number of times the paper was cited. Here is our evaluation of consensus using the REACT framework. Both Jose and I scored it independently, and then we averaged our 2 scores together. So here's the average of our scores. For relevancy, while consensus delivers precise information through its integration with Semantic Scholar, we occasionally noticed some off-topic suggestions in the results. Also, the search is restricted to papers available in the Semantic Scholar database. Our average score was 3 out of 4. Moving on to ease of use, we both thought Consensus had a clean interface with everything clearly labeled. Our average score was 3.25. In assessing DEIA, consensus demonstrated a strong commitment through multilingual content support. Unfortunately, it is a freemium model, with the free version only allowing for 10 pro analyses and 10 snapshots per month. Our average score for this was 2.88. For currency, the tool maintains its freshness through regular updates and integrations. However, for current topics, you will want to use the date filters because the search algorithm is not designed to favor currency. For example, you'll get a much different consensus meter for the question, are masks effective in reducing the transmission of COVID-19 if you run a search without filters versus limiting it to the year 2023 and higher, because the consensus has changed for this topic. Our average score for currency was 3. And then finally, on transparency and accuracy, consensus provides moderate transparency with features like the consensus meter for measuring study agreement. And some aspects of their algorithms, though, did remain opaque. We liked its detailed terms of service, security policy, and quality indicators like the rigorous journal label. Also, the help documentation and customer support are good. Our average score was 3. So our overall score for consensus was a 3.03. So we'd like to introduce a framework that can help guide our ethical use of AI research tools like consensus. We call it the TAP framework, which stands for Transparency and Disclosure, Authority Evaluation, Accuracy Validation, and Privacy Considerations. Let's explore these key pillars of responsible AI use in research. Transparency and disclosure forms a crucial part of academic integrity as we adapt to working with AI tools. When you use AI tools in your research, document it just as you would any other methodology. This means explicitly citing which tools you used, being clear about their specific contributions, and most importantly, not simply copying and pasting AI output and calling it your own work. This approach helps integrate AI tools effectively while upholding academic standards. Moving to authority evaluation, we need to approach AI tools with the same critical lens we apply to any other source. This means doing your due diligence, understanding who developed the tool, what data it was trained on, and any potential biases or limitations. AI tools like Consensus can be helpful resources, but they work best as part of a broader research approach. Accuracy validation involves a systematic approach to verify AI-generated content. When using tools like Consensus or similar AI research assistants, always request and cross-check the sources they reference. We want to see evidence of human oversight in the process, meaning you should independently verify key information across multiple reliable sources. Be particularly mindful of potential inaccuracies. AI can sometimes present plausible sounding but incorrect information. This reflects the same rigorous standards we apply to all research tools and methods. Now, turning to privacy considerations, this is an aspect that sometimes gets overlooked in the excitement of new technology. The fundamental rule is to be cautious with sensitive or personal information. Before uploading any data to AI platforms, review their privacy policies. Pay attention to how these platforms handle data storage and sharing. This is especially crucial when dealing with research involving human subjects or proprietary information. So these frameworks serve as a foundation for integrating AI tools into research practices, helping us harness their potential while upholding academic excellence. For those interested in a deeper dive into AI research tools, Our recent article in Computers in Libraries, which is pictured here, examines consensus alongside 5 other AI research platforms using our React framework. You can access that article from the link that's on this slide, and Jose has also just put it in the chat for us. And then we also have an AI research tools libguide, which is available at this URL, which Jose will also put this in the chat for us. And then finally, if you'd like to see the React framework again in its entirety, it's available from yet another libguide, which Jose will also put in the chat for us. So next slide. So Jose and I thank you all for your attention, and we want to hand it back over to our moderator for the Q&A session, where we can explore any questions about any of today's presentations.
Thank you so much, Lavender, Susan, and Jose. Those were great. There was one just comment in the chat that the link runs through. Oh wait, was someone asking for a login? Maybe it went away. Oh yeah, that they're getting a message to log in to get to that link. But while we're waiting for other questions to come in through Q&A and chat, and Jose and Lavender, feel free to put your cameras back on. I'm wondering if you folks have any, do you follow any leaders in the field to get kind of updates and stay current with all of your topics, like, you know, via Substack or other platforms? And if you do, could you share those with us?
I don't. I need and I'm looking to find more and more. Most of my AI understanding has been on the ground conversations with fellow librarians and fellow teachers and what's going on, what do you think about this, how are students using this? And that's a really helpful resource. And I'm curious, maybe does anyone in the chat have people they would recommend on the subject of AI?
AI Magazine in the chat from Sarah, our last presenter in the session before this one. The folks who wrote the book AI Snake Oil have an interesting Substack, which is pretty cool. And that title sounds very, you know, suspicious of AI, which I approve of, and it is. But it's also they're very much in the industry, and they're very much about, you know, what AI can do, but just sort of filtering through the hype of AI and what it can and can't do. So I think they're really interesting writers writing about the topic in general.
To agree with Lavender, I'm also having these conversations with faculty, librarians here on our campus. One interesting thing that has come up right now is, you know, AI being incorporated into these databases. And sometimes in these databases, the communication is not happening between librarians and the subscriber or the publisher. So we're having that surprise of AI showing up and faculty reaching out to us and saying, hey, what's happening? Who's turning these things on? So we're having these tough conversations with faculty and also publishers.
Thank you. See from the chat too, we've got NicoleHenig.com as a source, and Ethan Mullock is mentioned as well. So I am not seeing any other questions in the chat or Q&A. Looks like a few more resources are popping up. I'll just say quickly that this is our last session for today, the first day of the conference, but tomorrow at 9 a.m. Pacific, we'll be starting again. The first session is about the efficacy of dyslexia fonts, I believe. So should be very interesting kickoff for tomorrow. And Carla has put the post-event feedback form in the chat as well. You can finish that at the end of the conference, or you can do it as you go along as well. But if there's no further questions, thank you all so much for being here and sharing your time with us. Really appreciate your sessions. Everyone, these sessions will be recorded, and so they'll be able to share with colleagues when we're done as well. But thank you all for a great first day.